patient.
Yeah, that's okay.
And you're bright and early. It's 6 a.m. your time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Nikki is, you are in Malibu, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, she's in Malibu. So a big morning, good morning to you. And I'm going to quickly do the official welcome, read your bio, and then we'll dive into your story and your medicine that you're here to share with us today.
Okay, great.
Okay. So Dr. Nikki Starr is a medical doctor turned transformational life coach and feminine energy strategist who empowers women into ultimate health, wealth, embodiment, and love to live their ultimate life. She was born into a lineage of Colombian healers, traveled the world touching every continent except Antarctica by the age of 25, appeared on a Fox reality show where they named her Dr. Love, and has appeared in Forbes, Yahoo, and countless other media outlets. She is now based in Malibu and works with people worldwide via her online courses and coaching programs. Wow. Okay, so doctor turned transformational coach and healer. Share with us what happened or how, share with us your travels and your journey. I would love that information to touch the hearts of our guests because it's important.
Yeah, well, I think it's two things that we're seeing happen in our culture inevitably, which is there's a spiritual awakening happening on the planet. And it is, whether we like it or not, causing transformation in people. And it happened to me through the initiations of yoga, travel, and meditation, and mainly yoga and travel for me. And so after college, I started traveling. And for me, at first, it was just for fun, go to all the cities and
adventure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what I didn't realize was I was having activations in every place I was visiting. And I started remembering past lives. And I started having transcendental experiences where I would be like skydiving and then have an experience with the silence and come into a space of oneness and peace like I've never known before, because I was a born and bred New Yorker. So I was really like boss, and I was making things happen, and I was busy, and
yes.
had these like experiences where I was like speechless, literally, and I was someone who didn't really shut up, even now too sometimes, but that's a lot. And so then I was just like, oh my goodness. And then I was scuba diving under the barrier reef, and I was like, maybe it's not about health only or writing prescriptions. Maybe it's about happiness. And I was like, am I supposed to be a doctor? So I started questioning. And I was like, oh no, like I never thought I would question, and I always knew I would be a doctor. And then yoga also started shifting my consciousness. And that's what happens. Like I started doing yoga because I want a hot body, and women who do yoga, I want to keep my hot body. So it was very like vanity and like, it wasn't
external. Yes.
Yeah. But of course, it's inevitable because you start aligning energy centers. It's kind of like a lock and key. Like you do certain poses, you start moving energy along certain meridians, and you start having transformation. So I was just different, and I felt like I was better. I was better after yoga. I was really opening up my mind when I was traveling, and the fun leisure trips started turning into spiritual sites. And then my trip around the world started turning into visiting various medicine men and healers, shamans, and so then it was this gradual awakening to become who I am today. And it's still a becoming process. I feel like we are becoming until we die.
Yeah. Completely agree with you there. So yeah, it sounds very, very expansive, and it sounds, I'm sure you had like challenges and resistance along the way. Would you like to speak into that and what that looked like for you?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say one of the first challenges, which I think we often see, is how I was able to actually leave Western medicine was through a big disappointment. It was a divine intervention. And I want to share this story because sometimes we think like, I can't believe that happened to me. Like, and we get so upset with the events, but the events are really for us. So, you know, I was having all of these experiences while in medical school and questioning my path. And then at the same time, there was a part of me that's like, I'm going to be a dermatologist. I'm going to live in New York forever. This is my life. This is who I am. This is my identity. This is, you know. And then I interviewed at 7 dermatology programs, which was a really good number. I was told that maybe my chance would be like 50-50 because of the amount of research I did. It's so competitive. And I was like, no, I'm still going to apply. And I was in Thailand when the results came out of the match system. And up until that point in life, I was like straight A student, top of my class, like even getting into medical school was early. Like I always got everything I wanted, you know? So I was like, of course, you know? And then when the match system came out, one of the schools I interviewed at had an open spot and I didn't match. And that's kind of like impossible because the way it works is I rank the schools that I apply to and interviewed at, and then the schools that interview rank all the students. And then it's like, it's like a computer system. You know? And so I didn't match and the school had an open spot and I was so devastated. I remember being in Bangkok with friends and we're gonna have a night out, like gonna go see a ping pong shot, like, you know, wild, crazy Thailand things. And I was like, I need to go back. Please drive me back. And I went and I cried and one of the guys stayed behind with me and I was just like, what? You know, and I was so upset. I felt like such a failure. In a way, I was like, thank God I'm away and I'm not there at NYU right now, like with our envelopes and like feeling like a big loser. But it was like the biggest gift because it was what set me free. Because had I matched, I would have been in a 4-year contract. Really 5 years because I would have done, because I ended up doing my intern year in medicine. So I was a life physician. And then I would have stayed to do the 4 years of dermatology. And this was like my way out. But I didn't know I was leaving. It was like they were designing it. Like, here you go. I know you're upset, but you're going to look back and be so happy.
It's amazing.
And so it was a challenge, but it was a blessing. Like, thank God that happened. And then I look at colleagues now and what has happened in the world and being in the medical field. And I could never be happier because I didn't know that I would evolve so much to then have completely different views. Like I really see Western medicine as the end line, not first line. Lifestyle, even energy work is first line for me. You know, and it's like completely backwards.
Absolutely,
But I had to go through medicine to understand the human body and the human makeup, and then go on travels around the world and start to understand energy, and then put the two together to really get the complete picture of the human. And then with that, now like my work is guided in a completely different way. Like Western medicine is, I do not practice at all Western medicine.
Wow. So I love that because a lot of, actually most of us, all of our speakers shared on how, you know, their biggest challenges actually happened for them and they were blessings in disguise. And, you know, I can totally relate and speak into so many things in my life that at the time were very, very heartbreaking and painful. But in hindsight, I would do it all over again. Because I know if I knew I was going to end up where I am today and doing what I'm doing.
Exactly. And another challenge I'd say, which is very common as, you know, women rise and we're like in our purpose and we're becoming our best selves, is we have the challenge of those we love wanting to hold us into a box. Thank you, Donna. Wanting to say like, oh, you're supposed to be like this, and you know, what are you, crazy for leaving Western medicine? Oh, you're traveling, you're so weird. Oh, at one point I became vegan and, I'm not anymore, but I was for many years. And they're like, oh, that's so weird. Oh, you only eat organic. And, and then having everyone be like, but the funny thing is like everyone came around because when they see your happiness and your success, but in the moment, is it triggering? Yes. Did I lose friends? Yes. Do I still lose friends? Yes.
Yep.
But it's like, I have to be who I am. And I evolve like so quickly. And did I end a 9-year relationship where he bought me a ring? And yes, and it's like, I had to go on my spiritual journey.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm going, like, take all the baggage off. I'm jumping off the cliff. So, it was part of the journey. And I think that we can have it at the speed that we desire. And I was like the fast train, the fastest, the bullet train.
Yeah.
And others are going through the journey and they have families and partners and sometimes maybe there's compromise and that's inevitable. So I just want to share that. I know that that's even the women in my program, they have sometimes challenges with their husbands or their family. And then in the end though, we see a transformation in them because they were able to hold their truth really strongly and be an example. And then their family and their loved husband and partner also shifted.
Yes, I can totally relate. I remember like when I chose to get out of corporate and start really working from home and working in this field, I got a lot of kickback from family and friends. And I mean, I left a 15-year corporate job. It was a great salary. It was safe. I had my 13th check, my 14th check. I had, everything sorted. I had nothing to worry about. And I dared to leave that to, follow the calling and follow what my heart was, deeply calling me to step into. And I had to align with that. I had to be in integrity with that. And that meant standing in my truth. And it meant, being the one that the people are talking about and why she's crazy and why is your wife doing that? Like I knew people were talking to my husband. Why is she doing that? You shouldn't let her do that, and tell her no. So it's really it's empowering and it's also challenging, but it is, you totally get to walk in your truth, and you get to give yourself permission to do that. And I know I didn't share what topic you're sharing today, resurrection of feminine leadership and how to stand in that frequency. So this is like what's coming through now, like women standing in your frequency of your authentic leadership. And that means being in your truth and not like buying into other people's projections and fears and stories. So speak more about this feminine frequency that people come to you for, and that you're so powerful in sharing.
Yeah. So I think it's one of the things that when I was becoming a doctor, I was in my masculine leadership, which is what popular culture knows. We see only models of masculine leadership, and we think that is the model to follow. So what is masculine leadership? Masculine leadership is like competition and hustle and work hard and make it happen. And for women, this can lead to extreme burnout. Our adrenal glands can get really fatigued. We can even experience hormone imbalance with excess testosterone production. And so this is not the natural way of feminine women. Now remember, there's masculine and feminine inside each one of us. Every time we take action, we're in our masculine. We need to have our masculine. We need to have both to function as individuals. However, we can lean more in one energetic or the other. So if you're a feminine woman, that means you want to start to shift your leadership to be what I like to call, it's like kind of the opposite. And it's kind of like magical in a sense, where it's like you are magnetic and you attract opportunities. to you. You don't go and make them happen. You are more surrendered and trust that all is, so this aspect of trust, because oftentimes we hustle when we don't trust. Like, oh my God, I need to make this happen. I need to make sure that I get this many people or this much money or whatever. Whereas we can start to manifest and sit back and learn how to receive more, because giving and receiving are two different channels. The more we learn how to receive, and I love teaching manifestation techniques. So learning how to manifest through different practices and even having faith and connection and divine support. Like I said, you know, when that situation happened to me, I trusted it was a divine intervention. So you're not like battling and like need to be so in control of all the events. You're trusting like maybe there's a better divine order that can happen. I can't see, like I have a limited perception. Also in the masculine world, logic and reason and facts are so important, but in feminine leadership, your intuition is most important. Like, I know I should be doing that, but something is really telling me that I need to do this. And I know it doesn't make any sense. We need to follow that in feminine leadership.
Wow.
Also, when it comes to cooperation and inclusivity. So like I mentioned, there's that competition aspect, but in the feminine world of leadership, we're in this together. We rise together. That's why you have this summit and you have multiple women speaking on it, because we're actually, we know we're more powerful together. There's no competition in feminine leadership world because of the fact that we all have a different journey. We all have different life experiences. We're different makeup. Even if there was another medical doctor turned coach, there's no competition because my upbringing is different from her. She might be from a different place. Like we may have different values. Like there's no competition. And with this kind of abundance mindset versus scarcity and monopolizing is what we've seen in the patriarchy and in the masculine leadership role, where it's like there's only one boss and I need to be the best. Whereas in the feminine leadership, it's like we are one of experts, one of many leaders, one of many people on purpose and on the rise, right? So it's a very different, much more relaxed, much more nourished. And also, I feel it's about that too. In feminine leadership, taking care of ourselves is the most important thing, and everything flows from that. Whereas I see in like the masculine leadership world, where I was a medical doctor, it was like barely slept, working 14, 15 hours a day in the hospital, 7 days a week. Like, no, now I work 3 to 4 days a week, you know? So it's a very different model.
Wow. Okay. So I think we get to elaborate on that so that people can actually start defining where they are hanging around most, so that they can start tapping into their own feminine essence. So how can somebody know, like, what are some of the red flags of being too much in your masculine?
If you feel fatigued in any way, if you're doing things you don't love, but you feel like you need to, if you're doing something and it doesn't feel good to you and you're like, why am I doing this? Oh, but I have to do it so that I can get this result. Like, no, like there's not like one business model. There's not one model of how you need to do things. So I feel like structuring a life that is spacious, that feels really good to you, that you are doing things when you feel inspired and when it feels good. But of course you'd like I only see clients like 3 to 4 days a week, and I do my best on Thursdays and Sundays really to be off of media as much as possible. But if I get an inspiration on Sunday, I will act on it. Like, it happened to me this Sunday. I was watching the sunset and I started to cry because it was just so beautiful. And I was feeling so much gratitude. So I wrote a post. I didn't end up posting it that day. I think I posted it on Monday, but I wrote it in that moment. So this idea of like creating a schedule that works for you. If your schedule doesn't work for you, then like you know, like having really strong boundaries, which like, this is my self-care time. Not like, oh yeah, you know what, that client really wants to see me, so I need to like see her on my day off. No.
Yes.
No.
Or schedule like really late calls.
Yeah. Like even though I'm super happy to be here, when I woke up this morning, I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to keep my rule, not starting before 8 o'clock ever again. Like I'm happy, but I could feel the fatigue in my body, and I'm like, you know what, this isn't, and I can trust. And that's where trust comes in. It's not like, oh, I'm going to miss out. It's like, no, I can just trust that the opportunities will come to me. And I know I'm meant to be here because I said yes. And so still with that, I can learn of like, okay, I tried that. And I could feel fatigue in my body. And so I'm going to honor. I also think I'm about to start my moon. And that's the other thing. I take off the first day of my moon. I usually hope I'm like clean, and a lot of times I'm lucky and it comes on a Thursday or a Sunday, or even like a Saturday. And then the client was like, oh, I need to reschedule. And I'm like, oh, so, so taking off the first day of our period is so, so important. And learning our cycles and learning like, okay, the week before I start to bleed, like I notice that maybe it's better not to schedule certain things, or to be a little more relaxed in my schedule. And so we can really create life on our terms. We don't need to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Absolutely not. Because then your actions become more potent. And this is when you become more magnetic. And the universe will support you. If you say, okay, here are the places where you can fill me with clients, with work, with speaking engagements, and then those will fill. And it's up to you to have that strong boundary. And often I feel that women on purpose, and coming from the masculine world where there's like not a lot of boundaries, where people just say like, okay, whatever you ask of me, oh no, I have to do it, because there's that like lack or scarcity energy, like there's fear. But if we come from more of this place of trust, then it's totally a different way of being. Our nervous system starts to relax.
Yeah, it sounds very, like you said, nourishing. And I think it's also bringing back in that maternal love, that, that maternal love that we get to give to ourselves. And really, really care, really take care. Like, I often think like, if I were to guide my daughter, give her some life advice, what would I give her? It's basically would give her the advice that you wish somebody had given to you, right? If you're doing stuff the wrong way and you're feeling, the pressure and the masculine, you would tell your daughter, do it rather this way, because I did it this way and it didn't really work, but I advise you to do it this way. And we get to re-nurture and remother ourselves as feminine leaders. And I think it's a responsibility each one of us has to, say yes to, and start taking the right action and self-care routines, and really noticing where that masculine overdrive is taking over, because it's exhausting. It can be exhausting.
Exactly. And I think that burnout is something entrepreneurs suffer from. I've suffered from it. I suffered from it during my intern year as a resident in the hospital. And then and that was part of, I think, what helped me not go back. I was like, why would I live that life? Like, what I mean? And then I suffered from it again about 2 to 3 years ago. And then I ended up taking like a little sabbatical. And when the pandemic hit, I was like, I'm taking off. So I guess it was like 2 years ago. And I was like, I'm taking off. Most coaches like pushed forward and like, our chance, and I was like, I'm taking advantage of this too. But then with that, like I saw consequences of like, but of course it like bounced back. And then I had like, I reached $100,000 a month after when I came back. And, so I reached bigger heights. So like our journey is kind of like a spiral, and we dip a little, but then we rise to a higher height. And so I trust it was all perfect, but it showed me like, when you work like that, you burn yourself out. And then you're not inspired. You're like, oh, I just want to take off.
Yes, yeah.
Created life in a way that's like, you know, today. And it doesn't mean like, I'm not glorifying like, oh yeah, as an entrepreneur, you don't need to work. Like, of course you do. It's just, you feel inspired to do it. So then it doesn't really feel like work.
Yeah.
And that's when you know you're operating in your feminine, because it comes from inspiration. It's like when we think of like the geishas, or we think of like these feminine goddesses that were like actually people. And you see how they had such a big impact in the world. Like even someone like Princess Diana, or even like Mother Teresa, or even like Marilyn Monroe, right? Like she was just doing her art. Like our work, the work we do in our purpose is our art. So how are you going to share your art with the world? Are you going to share it from this fatigued place? Everything is energy. So you're transmitting that frequency through everything you do. Or are you in pleasure? Are you in your feminine? Are you like loving what you're doing, and you sit at your desk and you're like, oh, I love my life so much. Or like, oh, it's 10 o'clock at night. I need to send this email. You know what I mean? Like it's such energy.
Yep. And I mean, I can totally relate on both ends. I've been at that place where, oh my God, it's 10 o'clock at night and I have to send this email. And I also love being in the place of, oh, it's such a beautiful day. I can't wait to get this content out, and I've got so much to share, and it's just all flowing. And you take that like 30 minutes to sit in the sun, and you take it like with love, and you take it with so much gratitude. And it's not like, oh my God, I should be at my desk. You know, it gets to flow. So, so when you had your burnout, what did that look like? Can you share what you felt, and like physically your body, what you were experiencing?
So I feel like what I later realized I had was kind of like my adrenal fatigue. So like, and sometimes it was hard to turn off. Like I was like on my own drugs of myself, right? Your adrenaline is so high. So I would work like when I wake up to when I go to sleep, and rarely had a moment off, because even in the time off of not seeing a client or not, I was still thinking like, what can I be doing? What else can I be doing to make this happen, or to bring in more women, or to bring in more people, and posting, and what's the next content? And there was rarely a moment to just like be and enjoy. And even though I was living at the ocean in my dream house, I really wasn't operating in the way that I wanted to, which would have been to enjoy more of the time on the beach, or going for a beach walk, or dancing into the sunset. And then I started to see like, okay, and now I do my best to, like I said, like I absolutely have 2 days off no matter what, usually more though, and definitely at least 3 half days. And I also make sure like sunset's a really magical time. So I won't book clients or meetings in the frame of the sunset hour.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And then like when it is the end of the day, like even today, okay, I was like, all right, I woke up at 5:30. So I will be done with work around like 1:30 the latest. Like I'm gonna make sure that I like stop, because I do think it's important to prevent that from happening again, because we could like literally keep going and going and going and always be creating and doing. So I felt like a lot of tiredness. I felt like a lot on edge. I felt, I just didn't feel like so much pleasure in my body, and like really good. And I started saying like, I just want to twerk. I don't want to work. Like I just wanted to be dancing. I want to work.
I like that.
I start getting rebellious towards my work. But the funny thing is, when I do reels, the best reels are my dancing reels, like Instagram. So it's almost like I was like predicting my future. Yes. Really? But that is my true nature. Is like, I love, like if you came to Malibu and you came by my house on the beach I live, you would see me at sunset dancing on the beach. So really
your essence.
And then when I share that on my Instagram, that's what people respond to. So that's like another piece of just like, in terms of women on purpose, it's like, be who you really are. and share that with the world.
Yes.
Because I used to think like, oh, but I'm a healer, I can't be sexy.
Yes.
But when I wear like my sexy outfit, people are like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do that because this is who I think I'm supposed to be. So it's still a process of melding all of our personalities together, because we have many personalities as women, and we're very complex beings.
Yes.
And I feel that the more I step more into being my true self, and even, you know, because I'm funny and sassy and I'm all the things, that when I'm all the things, that's really when I see the results.
Yeah. 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 Your essence gets to stream through, and that's what, like, clicking, you know, in the field for other people as well. It's really, we're supposed to be working that way. That's how we are designed. So yeah.
And the other thing I want to add to, when you know you're operating in burnout versus from your feminine inspiration, is I find that if I need to sit down and make the content, that I'm offering, like, there's more nourishment and self-care that I can do, because when I'm really full, it actually starts to come out of me and I can't stop it.
Yeah.
So one is like just pouring. It's like what we say when your cup is overflowing.
Yeah.
And the other one is like you're a little bit in the masculine energy, because you're like, I need to write this now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is my window. And it doesn't mean, of course, there might be moments that you do need to do that. And there are aspects of my business, like even now I'm creating a new funnel. So it's like not the space I'm normally operating from. So even after this, I'm going to go and know that I have that time to like write the stuff for the landing pages and do all that. But like my social media posts are often from the overflow.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You know, so certain things. And I think that that's because then it doesn't feel like work. It's just an extension of you.
Yes.
And when you're too much in the push, that's where the burnout happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you might ask yourself, like, why are you not inspired to naturally create the content? Like even yesterday, a client in my Ultimate Women program, she, you know, we've been coaching her on what kind of coach she wants to be. And the thing that scares her the most is like the trauma informed, because it's the closest to the truth of what she's lived. And then she's like, yeah, but I also love business coaching and like helping women plug up holes. But then in her goal, she writes that she's going to be the trauma informed coach. Right. And then she's like, okay, I know we decided that, but like, I have this consult with this woman on Friday for the business coaching and I'm really worried about it. And I'm like, if you're worried about it and you're just saying you want to do this other coaching, why are you putting energy in that? Like, focus on what inspires you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think sometimes people think they need to do this or that because they get the opportunity. And I also felt that happened to me, where I used to say yes to everything. And now I'm like, no. It does sound like a good opportunity, but no, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where our strength comes in.
Yes, it has to feel aligned. And also I think when we say yes to everything, that yes is actually coming from a space of fear and lack and scarcity.
Exactly.
You know, so your client, she's feeling maybe the scarcity or the lack, and she thinks that she has to take that one as well, just in case the other one doesn't work, or, you know, so she's got both balls, you know, in the air. But that's masculine as well, again.
Exactly. Because if you're in deep trust, by saying no to what's not aligned, the universe will send you what is.
Yeah. And if we're saying yes to everything, you're getting so full that when something that is aligned wants to come through, there's no space.
Exactly. That's like the same, even though this isn't about relationships, but I feel the same when I coach women on relationships and men, like in general. Like you don't just date people because it's filling the time.
Yeah.
Because then the person really comes along, you're not available. And you miss that because you're just in loneliness or feel the need to occupy your space.
Yeah, it's a buffer. Yeah, that's so true. Beautiful. I love everything we're sharing, and I love all this on the feminine leadership energy. I just invite everybody who's here to, you know, tap in and see if you are in the masculine overdrive, if you're feeling any of those like red flags that Nikki shared about. There's a different way. There's a different way to do life, to do business, to do relationships, and that's why we're here, to shed some light on it for you, and, you know, to give you opportunity to shift. Would you like to share on your free gift? You're offering a beautiful gift called the Ultimate Woman Uprising Cheat Sheet and 5-day bonus video series to support you to 10x your success, love, money, and power right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love my work in my coaching world is definitely, I take people through a process. And it's rituals, and it's a lot of times it's creating space and clearing out what doesn't serve you, getting really clear on what you want to call in, and then really embodying that energy to call it in. And so this cheat sheet and 5-day bonus video series is like a mini course and like a mini ritual that you can take yourself through. And it's really powerful. Like if you just did that alone, you will see results. Yeah. And it does help you identify the things that aren't serving, so that you can really create that space to call in what will serve you to realize your goals. And so you can get that at theultimatewomanuprising.com.
Yeah, we're going to drop in your link as well here. Okay, if you can drop that link in here for everybody to grab Dr. Nikki's gift. And of course, it's in your dashboard as well, guys. But yeah, that's phenomenal. It's a beautiful gift. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And any last words that you'd like to share with people here? What you know, last words of wisdom for our Woman on Purpose audience?
I would say it's like that age-old adage of follow your heart. And when you're really living your ultimate life, you're truly honoring what your dreams are in the moment, and they're going to constantly evolve. And who you need to stay true to is yourself. And everyone else will come around, because the truth is everyone who really loves you really just wants you to be happy. So, you know, at one time I thought, okay, I'm only going to be a medical doctor, and that's what I did. And I was like, oh no, and now my goal changed. And you know, and so it's constantly evolving. So stay true to your evolution. You're not crazy. You are here to evolve and grow and change. So stay true to that and honor that. So if there's something in your heart that's calling you that's completely different direction, really listen. Is that true, or are you running? And just really stay, like, it's almost like your heart is your true north. So follow those desires, that passion, and as you stay true to you and blossom, and everyone sees you happy and the results, like everyone will come around. Oh,
that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nikki.
Thank you so much.
Deep gratitude. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your morning.
Thank you.
And a beautiful day, and we'll keep in touch. Okay.
You too.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye.